The concept for the coming of age spot actually came from Appalachian Wireless. They told us the vision that they had for it, wrote the script, sent it back, there's a couple tweaks, and then we were off into production.
Coming of age spot is the story of a couple and their young son coming of age. Starts off baby being born. We go to the next period where we're walking with him in a stroller at a park, talking about his future, and then catch him playing baseball, and parents watching, talking about, and each little section has a different device.
We follow them through 5 different vignettes. Technology changes, the phones get smaller, phones get nicer, more intelligent to the smartphones.
You know, things change, technology changes with it, which keeps people closer together. I've worked with Appalachian Wireless a couple of times in terms of these bigger spots that we do, once they know what they want, and they're pretty confident with Post Time and Chad as a director to kind of pull these things together. So
there were a few challenges in this shoot. I think the opening scene may have been the most challenging. Miracle's coming and action.
There's a line after this and I don't remember what it is.
Shooting outdoors in summer is always a challenge, just because it's, you know, there's no clouds in the sky. It was very bright, so there's a lot of grip work going on, a lot of different lighting things that had to be set up. My role was running camera, and Mark Irvich and James did a lot of all the gaffing and lighting for the scenes themselves.
Luckily, we had Mark Irvich along with us, plus our crew. We've all worked together for a long time, and we work together very well.
You know, it's always a challenge when you're outdoors and you got to make it look like tons of people there watching this ball game, and you're cheating things to make it look a certain way. There's a lot of trickery going on, movie magic, TV magic, whatever you want to call it. That's always fun to do. And second scene in the park was, we'd already gone through the whole day and we were pretty hot. And the challenges of the lighting out there, keeping the light on the actors without blowing out the background is always a tricky thing to do.
The Movi is an interesting tool, a lot like a Steadicam. The advantages are to be able to move around in some places that the Steadicam cannot. So I think it's an awesome tool. Russ was pulling focus on that whole thing, which is a little difficult because we're outside, so it's hard to see a monitor. He did a great job, and I'm moving in and out from the actors, so that is changing the focal distance. So you know, he had to stay up on top of that. The grip guys were great, you know, bouncing the big reflector in. It's pretty impressive to see the whole thing orchestrate. You just don't, you know, you see the picture of the final product, but if you look at the wide shot, it's like, wow. Sarah, you know, not only did excellent makeup, she's booming along with Chuck, you know, so we had the boom squad, we'll call them, I believe. They did a great job.
It was probably the biggest undertaking that we've ever done for Appalachian Wireless commercial. We had several actors. We had one character who had to be played as his younger self and his older self, so that's a casting challenge. So I would say the pre-production process was about a month's time of working to get everything figured out before we were actually rolling.
Camera speed.
You go, mark it.
Okay guys, and action.
It wasn't a huge hospital room. Again, shooting it during the day, you got to contend with the windows, and it's supposed to be, I guess, supposed to be a nighttime sequence, or at least evening sequence. So to avoid that and still make it look that way, you know, Mark brought in this enormous light. And that was really the only light we used in there. We used the natural light from the window. It's kind of a backlight. And just shooting in a tight space, we did a slider shot at the end of the spot, which was, we had to pull the camera back into a bathroom. And plus we were actually on a working obstetrician's floor. I mean, we had to get out of one room because the lady was actually coming in with her baby. We had an actual real baby there. It's kind of weird because that particular week I'd worked with two-week-old babies on 2 different shoots.
It's a real baby.
Real
Check
baby.
it out.
There you go.
It's a real baby. We couldn't have asked for a better cast. It was just the perfect pairing. Lori Preston and Chris Rose.
Hello, Ma.
As newlyweds who were then parents, who then grandparents through this whole thing. It was perfect. David Lawson as the younger Jack to Scott DeMeo as the older Jack. We got so lucky that these 2 great actors both kind of look like each other. And then Kelsey Waltermeyer as the prom date who later marries Jack. Even though she only had a few lines, she was great. And the chemistry between Scott and Kelsey, they actually went to prom together in real life. So they were totally recreating their own prom night.
Dad is taking the photograph with actual camera. Want to keep taking more pictures, can't. So the son has the phone with the camera in it. Chris Rose, who played the dad, he was spot on with his reaction to the camera. He was like playing the cheesy dad at that point, you know, kid going to high school, embarrassing in front of his girlfriend type of thing. But I do think it was more of a challenge for Chad as a director. Because I'm a director too, so I think at some point I did give Chad a note on that just from what I saw from the actors, because he was really trying to get a specific reaction from the older Jack, now the teenage Jack.
Good, reset.
Came out, I think, hopefully the way Chad wanted it. I know I thought it looked good.
So the great thing when I get to go out on a shoot is I get to work with the team. I mean, there were definitely challenges, but in the end, I would say it was with ease.
Everybody does their part. If we all know our part, I think we can knock out anything. You know, sky's the limit.
The overall product here in Lexington, there in Prestonsburg, came together, I thought, so well. And that's from the performances of the actors, that's from the behind the camera work, from the post-time crew to editing and post. Everything came together so organically, and this feels to me more like a very, very short movie. You watch it and you're like, wait, was that a 30 or a 60? It just works.
It was definitely ambitious. A 60-second spot with those many scenes in there, it was challenging, but I think it serves the piece very well. Again, I think a lot with Appalachian Wireless, I think Chad tries to create, fun, entertaining commercials, not just, here's a phone, this is what it costs, that's in there, but here he's trying to tell an actual story. And that's hard to do in 60 seconds, but I do think it serves the spot the best. And as Chad likes to say, it's all about production value sometimes. And in this case, I think it worked out pretty well.
The thing is, when you get into this rhythm of being creative and everyone working together and everyone helping each other and working with amazing actors and cutting up with them between takes, and it doesn't feel like you're working. It is a long day and it is a lot of hard work. And at the end of the day, when you finally get to register and breathe, you're like, okay, I'm tired, I'm kind of worn out. Until then, you can go and you don't even realize that it's 8:30 and you haven't eaten dinner yet. And I've had that on short films, and I've had that on other things where you just realize without realizing it that there's nothing else I would rather be doing right now than being creative and working with these people. And that's amazing. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Good job. Hey!